Embarking on a new career is always exciting. Today you're joining the list of people who work on the railways, keeping the world's people and cargo running smoothly. There's a lot to learn, but you'll be taking it step by step. Let's start by looking around. Find each of the markers and look at them. Before you get to the trains, take a quick tour of the facility here and learn the basics of moving around on foot. Your current objective is shown in the top left of the screen. You've just been awarded some action points. These are displayed in the top right corner of the screen and count towards your overall experience level for the game. This is one of the many route tasks you can discover. Keep an eye out for other tasks that will ask you to place, collect, or fix a variety of things. Head into the main building to continue your induction. Walk over to the waiting area. You can pause at any point to review objectives and a lot of other information about what's happening at the moment. Try it now and then return to the game after you've had a look round. Now that you've covered some of the basics of moving around and interacting with the environment, let's take a walk through the building and find the trains. This is Central Square. From here you can explore the main training center depot and surrounding yards. Your journey operating trains is just getting started here at the training center. Remember, you can always come back here from the main menu to refresh your knowledge if you're unsure about anything. In this training module, you'll learn about the on-screen overlay known as the heads-up display, or HUD. You'll see it when you're in control of a train. You can configure a range of parameters for the HUD that affect how it looks in the game settings. In this tutorial, you're going to take a look at the two main types of HUD and make a first choice of which one you prefer. Get started by climbing up the ladder into this train and sit in the indicated drive. Welcome to the most important seat in the train. Before you can start learning how to make the train move, you're going to need to understand what the HUD is telling you. There are three types of HUD. The one you're seeing now is the normal HUD. You'll learn that first, and then take a look at the minimal HUD next. There is also a simple HUD, which is essentially a cut-down version of the normal HUD. The HUD is a guide to show you what the train is doing, how you're doing, and what your next objectives are. You can tune what's shown here using the game settings. The main part of the normal HUD is the speed display in the bottom right. Your current speed is indicated by a white bar that will appear on the outside of the speedometer, and there is a red mark that indicates the maximum permitted speed. This is the direction display. An arrow will indicate the forward, reverse, and neutral directions. A cross, or X, means the reverser is currently either not inserted or in the off position. This is the power display. A number will indicate what position the power or throttle control is in. If the display is white, it refers to power. If the display is yellow, It means powered braking or dynamic braking. If the display is red, then the throttle is currently locked out and you will need to take steps to release the lock before power can be applied. You can learn about troubleshooting elsewhere in Training Center. These are the brake indicators. The exact one shown will vary by train and will often be visible in the train itself on the various gauges. These gauges tell you what is happening in the braking system. The most important one is the BC or brake cylinder. In most trains, when this reads 0, that means the brakes are released. Anything else and the brakes are applied. In the top right is the track monitor. This shows you the line ahead and allows you to see all the signals and speed limit changes that you're approaching. By default, the track monitor shows the signals with their actual red, yellow or green aspect. But when you get more confident, you can hide this information via an option in the game settings. As you accelerate, the track monitor will extend its look-ahead distance so you can see much further ahead at higher speeds. This is all done automatically. Now that you're familiar with the normal HUD, it's time to take a look at the minimal HUD. You can change this via the game settings, but for this tutorial the game will change it automatically. You can see that most of the HUD is now gone. You are left with basic information in the top left corner. The minimal HUD immerses you in the experience of driving the train. Use the train's real gauges as much as possible. In the top left corner, you will see the information about your next objective and some limited information about what the train's doing, such as your current speed, the speed limit, and the gradient. Use the game settings to add and remove information from the minimal HUD. With less information, you'll find driving more challenging, but also more immersive and rewarding. Experienced players might prefer the minimal HUD, especially when driving from the cab view. The normal HUD is ideal for newcomers or anyone who wants to drive from an external camera. You can switch HUDs in game settings. Do you want to start with the normal HUD or minimal HUD? That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the Training Center. In this training module, you're going to learn how to make a train move and then bring it to a stop. For this exercise, you'll be using a British Class 323 electric multiple unit. It's a great train to get started with as the controls are quite straightforward. This module will get you used to the feel of the train and its controls. While many trains have different controls and are operated in different ways, there are basically always 3 controls that are common and are required to move the train. The reverser chooses the direction you're going to move in. It often has 4 positions: off, forward, neutral, and reverse. The brakes are used to slow or stop the train. There are potentially multiple braking systems you can find in different trains, and you can read more about that in other sections of the training center. For now, the Class 323 has a very simple braking system. The throttle controls how fast the train accelerates. In this train, the throttle and brakes are controlled by a combined power and brake handle. Moving the handle in one direction will apply power. The middle position is neutral and does nothing, and then the other range applies the brakes. You will find in some other trains that the throttle and brakes are on separate handles. Before you go any further, set the headlights for daytime running and ensure the tail lights are off. We want to move the train forwards, so set the reverser to the forwards position. Now pull the combined power and brake handle towards you to release the brakes and apply power. In the bottom right and in the center of the speedometer gauge, you can see a little ball. This is the accelerometer and will move up or down to indicate whether you're speeding up or slowing down. Now that you've reached your target speed, you can move the throttle control back to the center position. The train will then coast on level ground and only... When it comes to stopping trains, the specifics of each train can be quite different. However, the basic process is fundamentally the same. Bring this train to a complete stop. The amount of braking you will need to apply also varies depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill and how heavy your train is. Knowing the right amount to apply will come with practice and experience. Stopping a train is one of the biggest challenges of controlling it, particularly stopping it in the right place. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning basic passenger operations in this Class 323 electric multiple unit. This part of the training center is the Metro Loop. It is used primarily for driver training for passenger trains that are generally shorter or might stop more frequently in normal operating practice. It consists of 2 platforms. In this module, we'll be doing a complete circuit and practicing stopping at both stations. When you're ready, open the door and climb aboard the train. Take a seat in the driver's position. Always remember to close the driver's door once you get in the cab. Some trains will prevent. To unlock the control desk, insert the master key and activate it. Turn the coach lighting on so that passengers aren't boarding a dark train. To allow passengers to board the train, you will need to open the correct doors. In order to use the buttons in the cab, you must first insert and then turn the door key to the on position. As the platform is on your left, press the open doors left button. The weather has turned quite bad, so you'll need to turn the wipers on. The cab light is currently on. Make sure to turn it off. It's useful to find your way around in the cab, but can make it hard to see out of the window, so you should always turn it off before you start moving. Headlights in the UK are used to allow others to see the train rather than being of great use to the driver seeing out. Set the headlights for daytime running and ensure the tail lights are off. While the passenger doors are open and the loading objective completes, you'll notice the bar in the top left slowly rising. Once it reaches the top, the objective will complete and it will be time to close the doors. Now the passengers have boarded the train, close and lock the doors using the Close Left Doors button. Set the reverser to forward. Apply some power to get moving. You're approaching the next station. Use the power brake handle to apply power so that you come to a gentle stop at the indicated marker on the platform. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning about the various camera controls and how to get the best views. You can drive from in the In this module, you'll combine everything you learned from the moving a train, passenger operations and camera controls modules, but from outside the train. Now you'll have the freedom to enjoy external cameras while driving the train. Before you go any further, get the lighting all set up correctly. In most trains, you'll find if you find a train where the master key does not set automatically on the controller, pop back into the cab to do it and then switch back to the exterior view again. Next, use the indicated control to set the reverser to forwards. Just as with other modules, you're currently sitting in a Class 323 multiple unit. You must now switch to the exterior camera. If you need a reminder on how to do this, head over to the camera controls module first and have a quick refresher. Aside from the magnificent views, exterior camera views can make it easier to complete tasks such as coupling, checking your lights, and changing junctions. Only a small number of the most common functions are usable for an exterior camera. If you find you need to do something that isn't available, simply switch to the internal camera to do it, and then switch back. Finally, use the indicated controls to apply some power. One will apply and one will take it away or apply the brakes. Experiment with them a little. Now that you've moved down the track, it's time to bring the train to a stop. Try restarting this tutorial and running it a few times until you're comfortable with driving from the outside, including moving the camera around. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning how to shut down a cab and change ends of the train so that you can drive in the other direction. You'll bring this unit back to central square sidings. You'll need to change ends a couple of times. Don't worry about how the train is going to get there though, all the paths are going to be set for you. You just need to change ends and then drive when you're given instruction to do so. Get started by setting this cab up for operation. Activate the master key first to unlock the control desk. Set the headlights for daytime operation and ensure the tail lights are off. Set the headlights for daytime operation and ensure the tail lights are off. Set the reverser to forwards, as that's the direction you'll be going. The first move brings the train forwards to the junction around the corner from here, and you'll be stopping once the rear of the train has cleared it. Apply some power and drive forward a bit so that we can prove that this cab is working and the train moves as expected. That's far enough. Bring the train to a stop by applying some brake using the power brake handle. Now that the train has stopped, you need to shut this cab down. Turn off the headlights and ensure the tail lights are on. Set the reverser to off. remove the master key. This cab is now shut down. Walk over to the other end of the train, ensuring to close any doors behind you. Sit in the driver's seat. Follow the steps indicated to activate this cab, repeating the procedure that you did when you set up the previous cab. Now that the cab is active, wait for the yard controller to give us permission to proceed forward once they've checked and blocked all the junctions for us. You're good to go. Apply some power and get moving. Your next destination is going to take you to the left and into the switch lines west of the training center. Follow the steps indicated to deactivate this cab. Now that the cab is active, wait for the yard controller to give us permission to proceed forward once they've checked and locked all the junctions for us. You're good to go. Apply some power and get moving. Your final destination. Before you finish, take a moment to review. When changing cabs on almost any train, there are some common things to double check before you depart the cab you're finished with. What position have you left the throttle and brake controls in? What position is the reverser in? Are the headlights and taillights set up correctly for what will become the rear of the train? Are all doors closed? Once you get used to each train you operate, you'll quickly begin to remember what each one needs and get used to the elements that are common between different trains. That concludes this module. If you wish to replay it, you can come back to it at any time via the training center. In this training module, you'll be learning about the live 2D map and how it can help you understand where you are, where your objective is, and how you can change the path of the train to get to the right place. Under normal circumstances, the driver has little, if anything, to do with where a train is going. It's all handled centrally by a signaling center or dispatcher. Within yards and depots, however, you will find that these are often managed by the crew of the train directly. That means you. You can tell whether a junction is manual or automatic by looking at it. If it has no big lever, then it's automatic and you can't influence it. If it does, then interacting with that lever will change the junction. For this module, you'll take this class 323 from the siding here next to the main loops and set all the junctions yourself to direct the train to the switch lines, and then change ends and repeat the process to bring the train into the depot. Your destination has been set over in the switch lines on the far west of the training centre. Use the map to follow the path from the train to the destination and change all the junctions you need to get there. If you make a mistake and go the wrong way, you can go back and try to correct it. If you're not ready for that, just restart the module and try again.